The jury's asleep. She's missing all of the key things. I don't care where I'm at in this place. My location don't define me. I was told, I have nearly 30 brain lesions, and I'm not even supposed to be walking or talking. A few months ago, I was just diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis. And so that's another battle I'm facing. So, but again, I'm not going to become my diagnosis. I did ultimately have to take her life. I can't undo anything. I can just apologize and hope you accept me.
Do you feel you could and you should have done things differently, or do you think you had no choice but to kill these two ladies? Welcome back to Death Row Stories. I'm glad my interview with Charles got lots of views, so welcome to all the new subscribers. Today I'm taking you back on Texas Death Row to meet another inmate, Tyrone Jamal Williams. As always, I want to start by having a word for the victim's family, and in particular for Tyrone's daughters, who might one day listen to this interview. Tyrone is on death row today for the killings of their mother and grandmother, Nicole and Vicky Gonzalez. Once again, this interview is not meant to make excuses for this 39-year-old man. What I want to do is try to understand his story, or at least how he sees it. I also thought it would be interesting to know more about life on death row. Even before being there, Tyrone has been for years on solitary confinement, and I wonder how you can survive this. Probably by being always optimistic, and that's what Tyrone is.
30 brain lesion that's deep in the scan. Multiple sclerosis, but he still stands. Concrete nights, steel doors, time won't bend. Death row days, yet the smile won't end. Not a slogan, not a plea, just a life in frame. Telling who he is, not playing the blame game.
Hi Tyrone.
Hey Francois.
Nice to meet you.
Thank
you very much for this interview for Death Row Stories. You've been here a little bit more than 4 years now. Today we're going to try to understand who you are. We're going to mention how you got here and try to understand what it's like to live here. You were born in March 1986 in Texas. You have a younger brother and 2 older sisters. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood? Who raised you? What were your parents doing at the time?
Yes, my mother raised me. She as a single mother. My grandmother was in my life too. Every chance I get, I used to go to my grandmother's house and hang out with her, and she would teach me how to cook and bake and even lay concrete. My mom, she worked wherever she could. Sometimes she worked at the carnivals, and sometimes she worked at the refineries. Anything to try to keep her kids fed, because it was 4 of us, and she was alone. Born and raised in Beaumont, Texas. And pretty much poverty, of course, as a kid, I didn't know, I was poor and things like that until I started to visit with other friends' families. And I said, okay, they have a mom and a dad, and they have a different relationship with their kids, and they're loving. And so these things were new to me. And over time, this began to open my eyes to what I didn't have. And so I strived to have more growing up.
Can you be a bit more specific about what your mother was doing?
Her position was fire watch. And that way, if a fire broke out or one of her coworkers was in trouble, she would run to the location with fire extinguishers and put the fire out. That's part of her duties there. And she did it for a good number of years. And she just all around a mom. She was a hustler, as we call it. She did whatever it took to keep her kids fed and keep a roof over our heads.
And your brother and your sisters, did you have the same father, or was it different fathers?
No, actually everyone have a different father.
Okay.
Different fathers, but we all of us within 1 year or 3 years of each other. But yes.
And you've never known your father?
No, I've only met him once, and I was about the age of 14 or 15. And my mom just said, hey, you want to meet your dad? And so that's the only memory I have of him. And it was just that one time, I just know this guy, Dalton Davis, and that was it. I never heard from him again.
Were you not curious before that?
No, because it wasn't novel. It wasn't nothing new from where I grew up. And so a lot of people was like that, just didn't have a father in their lives, or a father was in prison or worse, deceased for whatever reason. And so this was a normalized, theory that everybody was used to. And we grew up in it, so my curiosity wasn't entertained at that point.
At 19 years old, you attend Gary Job Corps, an institution that provides technical training programs near Austin. What do you do there, and what do you do after you get your diploma?
First thing I did when I went there, I joined, I was doing academics, meaning completing my high school curriculums. And at that point, at the same time, I'm going to a trade school, which is HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration. After I completed all of my training, I would go to, it's like, so warehousing, for example, they have something called a work-based learning. We go off campus, you go off site, and you go and work for companies for free. You know, you just like volunteer. It's like an internship. And I worked there for actually like a year before I graduated. And after I walked the stage, they offered me a job. And this is during around the summer break. And so I went back home, and that's when I got a call from the facility manager, and he said his employees were speaking highly of my work ethic, and he wanted to offer me a job. And I told him I couldn't take the job because I'm poor. If I get fired, I have no way to get back to Beaumont, all the way from Austin, which is where the job was. And so he said, you know, give it a shot. So when I graduated, when I actually walked the stage, and they actually gave me an additional check since I graduated with a job, that I relocated maybe a mile away from the job, and I started working in, you know, Travis Associated for the Blind, Deaf, and Visually Impaired, and they became my second family. And it was a beautiful, beautiful relationship.
What did you do there?
I started off just pulling orders, picking orders, product come in, and they get put up. I would put it up, and I would go and pull it for the blind, deaf, and visually impaired to stay employed, because the motto is for us to make sure those guys stay employed. The BVIs is what we also coined as. And they stay employed, then we stay employed. So our job and everything we did was predicated on whether they were working or not. And so I started doing that, and then I started moving to data entry, and then I started scheduling trucks in from different states. And then next thing you know, I'm ordering the trucks, I'm getting them in, I'm offloading the trucks, I'm entering them into the database, and then I'm pulling the orders for the different departments, skincare, you know, basically all the departments that work for different military branches.
How long have you been working for them?
In total, paid about 6 years, but I've been there for 7.
You traveled a lot?
I was actually at Travis Associated. It just afforded me the opportunity to travel. So the first place, I spent the map, like you hear people say, and I landed on Italy. So I went to Florence. I went to Jamaica and the zip lined. I had a lot of fun.
At age 26, you decided to become a truck driver. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I would deal with a lot of the drivers as they come in, and I would offload the trucks, and a lot of them used to have trouble backing in. I'm like, it takes forever for this truck to back in and just get to this dock, and sometimes it takes almost an hour. And I said, this can't be that hard. And then one day I seen one driver, he was like a skinny guy. He was so skinny and short, and he's coming out of that big old truck, big old 18-wheeler, and I was like, man, this can't be that hard. And I was curious. So I started to ask a lot of the drivers, like, how do you get started? And some of them say truck driving school. I never heard of a truck driving school. And so they told me a name. I compared and see which top schools was out there. And then I found one, which is Stevens Transport in Mesquite, Texas. And I applied, and like the first week of January 2013, I was over there in Mesquite and going to class. And they had me in a hotel while I was completing classes and earning all of my certifications, you know, tankers and hazmat. And at that point, I had my passport, so I can haul any type of product, food, chemicals, whatever, government contract. I did it all, and so that's what I did, and it was beautiful.
So where did you drive abroad?
Yes, I drove all over the country. I drove to pretty much every state except about 5 or 6 states in the United States, and then I took one load to Ontario, Canada, and I drove everywhere.
When did you start your relationship with Nicole Gonzalez?
I started my relationship with Nicole maybe the summer of 2013. And we met on an app. You know, as a driver, you can't get out and mingle and get to know people. So drivers have a tendency of just getting on a dating app to learn and meet people. And that's why I met her on a dating app.
You have 2 children together, Ali?
Yes.
When did you decide to separate, and what led to that decision?
I can't really gauge it as a separation because we've always come in and go out of each other's lives. I was never an absentee father because I had an absentee father, so I had to be present. And I would just show up no matter what. And I gave my promises that I always be there. And so what caused that is a lot of the cheating and drug usage. And I had zero tolerance for that. You know, I grew up around it, but I was never a part of it. And so it hit me hard once I learned that that's what she do. And I didn't know that, but it was already too late. But I was committed as well to my family. So I couldn't just turn my back on my family. But I can only offer, hey, we do counseling, family counseling. And she didn't accept it. And it just ultimately just festered, you know, and just build, and it's kind of going back and forth. So that's what ultimately caused it.
What type of drugs was it?
Marijuana, alcohol.
Yourself, you were never into drugs?
Never. I grew up in sports, you know, from track and football, basketball, boxing. So it was always a big deal to stay away from these things, and that's part of my the anthem. I mean, not the anthem, the motivation, and the thing my coaches always put out there. You know, this is what this program is about. You know, Beaumont Police Activity League is the name of the boxing club. They call it Beaumont Pal Boxing Club, and it's to keep, you know, kids from out of trouble. And I was one of those kids, and I've clung to that. You know, I stuck to that motto: stay out of trouble, don't do drugs. And everything you learn in the gym, in the ring, you don't go out and fight in the communities or anything like that. Everything you learn, you keep it here. So I learned discipline. You know, I learned a lot of respect. I learned camaraderie. So all these things I learned, you know, very early on. So I applied it to my family and everything I learned, everything I do in life, even here.
Unfortunately, things will take a horrible turn.
Yes.
You were sentenced to death in 2021 for the killing of Nicole Gonzalez and her mother,
Yes.
Vicky Gonzalez. It was in Commerce, near Dallas. Those killings took place in June 2016.
Yes.
Your daughters were about 1 year old and 1 month old,
Yes.
and they were in that house
Yes.
when it happened. We agreed not to talk about those events today because your case is still ongoing and you have an appeal. And of course, the victim's family is not here today, the state is not here, and I'm not a judge. May I ask, though, since that day, have you stayed in touch with your daughters?
I haven't been able to. I believe about 2018, I was already knowing the way everything was going with my case in trial that I was going to lose my parental rights anyway. And so I spoke to I had separate attorneys. I had one for the capital murder case, and I had one for my a CPS case. And so they did not want me to go to trial for my CPS case before I went to trial for this one because it would complicate things legally. And so I asked my attorney at the time, the late Jack Parrish, okay, I said, I have an idea. They're going to take my rights anyway. And because I see, you know, with the county I'm in and, you know, the race disparities there, I say, I'll sign my rights away, but in exchange for photos twice a year and a yearly report, something that's going on with my baby girls. And he said, oh, that's smart. And he said, let me go talk to him. So he went to talk to the prosecution or CASA, and there was currently had authority over my girls at the time, and they agreed. And so they would send pictures, but it would be pictures with a hat that's covering their face, and you can barely see what it is. I'm saying, why? No, this is not what we agreed to. And so it took some back and forth, and eventually they decided to give some straight, clear pictures. And about Jack Parrish, he had passed away, so they appointed new attorneys and a new attorney. And so this new attorney didn't really show up, didn't care. She just kind of would show up to look at my capital murder trial or pre-trial and just, I guess, to dip in and see anything. And I saw her one time. I said, hey, you're going to show up? You're going to do something about this? She said, yeah, I'll write you. And she kind of never did anything. And so the picture stopped completely. And then I come here, and then I have no way to fund an attorney, you know, on that case. And yeah, I was screwed, basically. So I haven't heard anything since from my daughters.
You have a website that one of your friends hosts. I will put a link in the description of this video or this podcast. And on this website, you mentioned that plea offers were made. Looking back, do you feel you should have taken one of them, or do you feel you made the right decision at the time?
Well, I don't exactly remember my state of mind at the time, but legally I had a right to know that an offer was made. And so it's an offer that I did not know about until I came here. But the first offer, I remember, and I said no, because I knew everything that was going wrong with the case. And it was offering me things. I was barely locked up 6 to 8 months, and he was already offering me something. I said, no, if you think I'm in the wrong and the law don't agree with me, we go to trial and we find out. And so I kept refusing, and they offered me the same thing, and they offered me life without parole, never going home. I said, no, that's insane. And, why would I plead to something if I know I'm in the right for protecting my girls? That doesn't make any sense. And then so later they come with an offer. My attorney offered me something. Stephen Myers, he asked that, will you take life with 50 years? Life plus 50 years. I said, no, I'll never go home. I'll never be able to hug my girls, no. And so I later learned here, since I've been here, that there was another offer, and I never heard of it. But that would be one I would have considered had I known at the time. But so looking back, no, I would say in hindsight, I would still stick with my original decision. I would come here because I felt I had a better chance at getting back to my girls with another set of attorneys.
What you just say is, I was in my right?
Yes.
Do you want to say something about that? Because, we decided not to talk about what happened, but maybe you want to, as you mentioned it yourself, do you want to say why you think you were in your right?
Yes. Well, there's a Texas law, penal code in Texas, and I believe it's 9.32, 9.33, and 9.34, and some letters behind it that says that because I had access to my in-laws, okay, my in-law, Ms. Vicky, and Nicole's house. Nicole gave me a key, so I have the right. They gave me access. And so the law says that if I'm present and something's happening, no matter how it came to be, if something happened, I have the right to protect anybody, especially my girls. And so the state agreed. The state made it to one point and said, in my trial, he said, Judge, I don't think we can still seek a conviction. And my defense attorney says, yes, you can. So that's kind of part of the reason I'm here. And a lot of them despise the fact that I want to exercise my right to testify. I testified. I was on the stand for 2 days. And my attorney told me my other attorney, Dennis David, told me I did really good. And it doesn't matter if someone says, if my other attorney is saying no, if he's pushing to get me convicted, because we never got along. There was always some tension, because the first time I met him, he asked me to take a plea deal. I say, what do you know about my case? He said, only thing I know is what I read in the media. I say, in the media? That's partial. You know that's wrong. You know that's inconsistent with anything. He didn't care. He's the one to get me out of the way and get his check and just move to the next guy. Conveyor belt justice. So that's part of the reasons that I'm still fighting. And he's actually a certified appellate attorney. He actually can represent guys here on death row. So he knew what he was doing. He knew all of the boxes to check as he was sabotaging my case, because he's been doing this for a long time. But what can I do? I'm just a client that don't know anything about the law at that time. So I made it my business to start studying the law, so I don't have to depend on someone that's having these arbitrary thoughts and intentions. Because race always plays a factor in Texas. Race always plays a factor in Texas. But there'll be more updates. There'll be more updates on the site at the bottom of the link.
You say, I did those killings because I was protecting my girls, basically.
No, I ultimately took Nicole's life. It's a death I'm acknowledging, okay? And at that time, I had no choice. I'm not gonna sit back and say, okay, would she stab her? Would she do this to my kid? I've known Nicole long enough. And I know her rage, her blind rage. And so if she set on something, she's gonna do it. If she feel like she was caught in a light, the spotlight in that moment, she's gonna do whatever she have to do that she feel. And then in that moment, all these thoughts, I should rewind a little bit. There's more within our relationship that's been taking place that led me in my instincts, I believe, to the point where I did ultimately have to take her life in that moment. And that is threatening to kill my girls. And at one point she said she killed them. And I was freaking out because I was hundreds of miles away. I drive trucks. So only updates is by the phone or if she sent me pictures. And so I was terrified, and I called my mom, and my late mom, Barbara Jean, and I called her, and but I was so frustrated, and I hung up on her, and then I did the worst thing possible. I turned my phone off, and so she couldn't reach me, and I was just sitting there crying. And when I turned it back on, she called me, and she was at my grandmother's house, and so they both talked to me, and they kind of just calmed down the anger and frustration that was within me. Like, it's my babies, and I have no way to protect. I have no way to stop them, And I've called CPS, Child Protective Service. I've called them. They've been duped, I've told them about the bruises on their back, the forehead, knots on the forehead, but they've been duped. In the report, it says that Nicole said that the bruises on her back is because she fell and hit a table. How do you fall? How do you run around the table and fall and hit your back? No. These are true bruises that I've seen, and it's terrifying to see terror in a kid, in an infant, terror in their face. That enraged me, but yes.
Your current lawyers say that the attorney that handled your appeal case should not have been appointed by the state of Texas. Can you explain why they believe that?
He has zero experience on death penalty cases. To be qualified, you have to have experience in the punishment of a capital murder case. You can represent 100 people with a capital murder case, but unless it goes to trial, you have no experience with mitigating specialists. You have no experience with these brain doctors, all of these neurologists. You have no experience dealing with these guys. So that will qualify you. Or if you worked with another attorney as second chair in a capital murder trial, that will qualify you. If you represented somebody on death row before, then of course you'd be qualified. But he didn't qualify at all. And before he got on my case, he was doing some civil work. He got his diploma, in his 50s, and he just decided to jump on my case. And how did he get on my case exactly? Many wonder. And that is, he put a whole bunch of qualifying questions. What makes you qualified? Where's your experience? He put a whole bunch of murder cases that he did in capital murder, but it's what you call mini-cap. Many capital murder cases are ones that the state don't seek the death penalty. And that's what he used for his experience. But that didn't qualify him. And about the time it was caught, it was too late. My current attorney that you're referring to, their department, they have a standard operating procedure, a vetting process. They check on these guys that get appointed to us, and they dropped the ball on this one. And he ended up doing my appeal. He did my appeal regardless of them telling him, you're not qualified. Why don't you get off his case? Why are you still fighting this? He have a right to a fair trial. He have a right to an appeal. He have a right to all these things. And God was just hell bent on staying on my case. And he ultimately won his check, which I believe I was told like $60,000. So he wanted his check. And so by him still following my case, following my appeal, he is now qualified. He's using my case for the basis of his qualification to represent somebody else on death row. And that's bad because now it's cat's out of the bag. He can do the same thing on anybody's case they did on mine. He didn't have any records to review my case. And my current attorneys asked for him to file an extension, because we needed more time because we didn't have the transcripts. He said he didn't find any arguable claims, and they asked him how, because you don't even have the records. How can you say that? And so that's what made them check him out, and that's when they realized they did their homework and they said, okay, he's not even experienced enough to represent anybody on death row. He never did a death penalty trial. He has zero experience. And then later the presiding judge said, yes, no, he's been removed off the appointment list, and he should have never been on Ms. Williams' case at all. And so now we're just back and forth trying to get the courts to remove everything he found and start back over. So that's the fight right now.
You wanted to say something also about the way the jury was chosen during your trial.
Yes, I wasn't allowed to pick my jury, which is bad because it's my life that's at stake, and I believe I have a right to that. I was told by my legal team at the time that I've been outvoted, so they can choose as opposed to me. And I had bad vibes with certain jury members. And they said, no, you've been outvoted, so we like this person. We're going to put this person on your case. And I was like, and I just had to deal with it. I mean, what can I do?
What do you mean bad vibes?
You know, how you read people, some people just may be staring at you the whole time. They just give an evil look or, you know, a hateful stare. And you can just see they don't like you or they don't like something about you, or maybe they read something and they don't like, or you just get bad vibes in that way. And they didn't catch it, but I did, because I see them staring at me, but they're talking to the judge and they're talking to each other, arguing, you know, doing the what they call it, individual voir dire is what they call it, or voir dire. And so, yeah, and so, but even put all of that aside, it's still my right to choose my jury, you know, because it's to my detriment regardless.
You told me that one of the jurors fell asleep during the guilt or innocence phase.
Yes, first day, guilt innocence, the first day of my trial. She was over there asleep, and I'm notifying my attorney, I'm like, look, the jury's asleep, she's missing all of the key things, you know, and but she's gonna later be told to vote, make a decision, but she's making a decision on what information, because she's missing everything. And so I got attention, he just kind of acknowledged it, but he didn't say anything. Day two, she's over there just asleep, you know, coats, everything. She's just like just over there sleeping. And when they would come out from out of their break, some of the other jury members would say, well, the other jury member, she's still in there. She's in a deliberation room, but she's asleep. And the judge or the bailiff or the state, someone to go in there and wake her up. And so the judge, when she came out, and they just went through with the next day. And the judge ultimately had called her around to talk to her on the record and say, ma'am, you have to stay awake. You know, so it was acknowledged on the record that she was sleeping. We asked for a mistrial, you know, to start over, because she's already missed the important things already. And that's the key part in a guilt innocent phase. You know, punishment phase is one thing. Guilt innocent, if she missed that key parts, and then we can possibly make it to the punishment phase, which I don't want to make it to. And based on that, based on that and other factors, I still made it to the punishment phase regardless. But I have no voice.
Were media granted access to your trial?
No, for whatever reason, I thought it was weird. They, once the trial started, the bailiff, they would always lock the door, lock everybody out. And so the media, I mean, they're supposed to have access. You know, they're supposed to be able to let the public know what's going on with this. They can't just say we're going to share with the public only what we want them to know. And so no, they wouldn't allow access. They was locked out every time. And the state actually made a comment. He was like, "Yeah, the media's trying to get in, but we're not going to let them in." And I thought that was crazy, because if had they been in there, I think it would be a better chance for them to see with video cameras that the jury members are asleep. They would have caught that. You know, all of the other things. They would have seen the point where my attorney was asleep. You know, they would catch these things. So that's why I think it would have been important for them to have access. And I thought that was their right, but I guess not.
You told me, why was I ever convicted? What you mean is that aside from the question of the death penalty, you feel that your conviction is unfair?
Oh, big time. It's not only unfair, it's wrong. You know, if the law agrees with me, and y'all arguing back and forth, and the law is in black and white, so there is no gray area. It's in black and white, and it's saying, you know, yes, he's able to do this and do what he did. And the judge actually said, he said, I can't believe the law agrees with what Mr. Williams done, but they still ruled in the other way, because the only thing the state had to do was say the catchphrase here in Texas. Out of the interest of the public, I think you should rule this way. Out of the interest of the public, once you say that, he ruled in the state's favor every time.
Before we talk about your life here on death row, can I just add a question? Is there something you would like to say to the victim's family today?
Oh, of course. I used to mouth in court, you know, that I'm sorry to my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law, he's always be present in all of the pre-hearings, Gonzalez. And I always mouth, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And yes, and keep in mind that the victim's family is also my family. Okay, these are my in-laws, you know, we've talked, we sat down, everyone was at his birth, you know, and we talked. And like I said, these are my family members as well, and there's victims on both sides, my Williams family and my Gonzalez family. But more so my Gonzalez family, yes, I want to say I'm sorry. And I can't undo anything. I can just apologize, and hope you accept me. You know, love me no matter what. I know you're a God-fearing man as well. You know, as you said in my trial. And no matter, I think my girls always need a father. Every kid need a father in their life, their parents. And yeah, I'm sorry and I love you no matter what.
Do you feel you could and you should have done things differently? Or do you think you had no choice but to kill these two ladies?
Yes, I'm acknowledging Nicole's death. Okay, the dispute is my in-law. Okay, and we can always have done something different. I wish I could rewrite my instincts in that moment. I wish I could have pressed the pause button and thought about everything and found a way around it. But it's just that split second, you have no time to think. And I believe instincts are made from your whole life. You know, everything that you experience, seen, witnessed, that's what caused you to have the instincts that you have today. And I can't rewire my instincts in that moment, but yes, I think it's always something I could have done different. It's always something I could have, I don't know, paused and just seen this was gonna happen. But I wasn't really willing to gamble my kid's life in that moment. You know, because I knew everything and everything came fast, racing fast through my mind. Like, man, no, you know, so, but yeah.
Do you know when you will have the decision concerning your appeal?
Yes, I have an evidentiary hearing. My current attorney told me in June, the end of June. And so, so I guess we'll see what the court's doing because my judge in Hunt County, he's actually retiring, I heard. And so and he's actually a pretty fair judge, I think, considering all of the judges that I've been hearing about. And so I'm hopefully we'll get something fair before he leaves, because I don't have a clue who's going to replace him. But so yes, I'm expecting something to happen in June of 2026.
We're going to talk a little bit about your everyday life here on death row. Most people don't know how it's like. Can you tell us how long you are allowed out of your cell? What do you do during the day?
Yes. So as of about a year and a half ago, I was selected to be a part of a group recreation work program. And with this program, now what I'm able to do is be out. Well, it originally started at 6 hours a day. I come out and to go to the day room, which is an indoor rec yard, and or outside. And now they have TVs up. We can watch TV. We can play chess, you know, play dominoes, play little board games. We can actually be around and hug each other. And you know, we just walk around with no handcuffs. The whole section, when we come out of our cell, we don't wear handcuffs over there at all. That's the difference between us and the whole rest of the death row. And so we're able to hang out, just sit, exchange books and read books and just try to make the best of it, because it's bad. There's a lot of tension here, you know, and it's not brought on by us, you know, inmates. And we just have to build each other up, because a lot of guys are going through it medically wise and psychologically, because it took a while for me to get used to people walking around me, because I've been death row. I mean, I've been in solitary confinement for almost 9 years now. Well, 9 years now. And so it was something I had to shake that concern of guys walking behind me, you know, that paranoia. And a lot of guys still going through that right now. Most of the guys here are still in the same predicament. They have to be by themselves, wake up, whatever they're going through by themselves. And they're human beings. We're all human beings, so we need more, you know, but it's no longer 6 hours a day anymore. They cut it back to 2 hours. I mean, cut it back to 4 hours, they cut 2 hours off of it. And so when we start seeing them cut things back, we started getting like, man, it's so many changes. They're starting to take away everything they gave us. So the incentive is leaving. And so we just try to stay encouraged. You know, now they've granted us tablets. We have tablets so we can watch movies. Some guys can play games, phone calls. So that's a big blessing that we all appreciate. And we just, we're building on that. You know, we inspire each other. We inspire some officers. You know, they inspire us, and we just have all around. We just try to build on all these things, raise each other up. No matter what you're wearing white or you're wearing gray like the officers. No matter what, we try to build each other up. And of course, you have some that come through and frustrate. Some staff members that come through with a bad day. Some just have those little bad apples. They just always come through and just frustrate everybody. And we just, hey, just be patient. It's only today. this person's gonna be gone tomorrow. You know, they're not gonna be working over here. It's a good chance. And so we try to build each other up, you know, stay active, work out, maintain our health, because we know it's a long road ahead.
You're out of your cell 4 hours a day in that group, and the rest of the time you're always in your cell, right?
Locked in your cell. Oh, well, we call it what it is, kind of like this, a cage. We locked in our cage. And, but yeah, so 95% of the guys here stay locked in their cage, and their psyche is falling apart. And guys just going through a lot, family deaths, you know, guys here committing suicide over so much stress. Lockdowns really take a toll on us all, you know, it put guys in negative mind spaces, you know, and it's not good. But I stay inspired, you know, I try to find something. I joke around out loud with guys, try to lift guys up. You know, I write, you know, I'm a poet, you know, I like to write a lot. And I share with some of the guys, you know, and they're kind of like, oh man, I like that. You know, it lifts them up and encourage them to write. And same thing with other guys, a lot of guys like to draw, you know. So it's hard because there's no paid jobs here for us, especially in Texas, well, especially death row. And so we have to rely on people in the outside world to survive in here, you know, with hygiene, because we get in the bare minimums. And if you've seen some of the meal trays here, you would cry. Just grown men that you're feeding liberty, and so it's bad. But I know they're trying to do better, but it's sporadic. It's kind of like hit and miss. But we need some help. We need some help. We need some eyes on this, and to let everybody know, you know, we human beings. We're going through a lot, and we just need your help. Whether it's just a written letter, and we just try to stay encouraged.
Can you tell us how many meals a day do you have, and at what time are they given to you?
Yes, we have 3 meals a day. The first one is kind of all over the place. Sometimes it's maybe 3 in the morning. Sometimes it's 5, 6 in the morning. It's all over. And the second one sometimes is from 10 o'clock, and sometimes it's at 2 o'clock. It varies. And the last meal is sometime at 4. Sometime we got it the latest 8 o'clock at night. You know, and then you just got to jump right back up in 5 hours if you want the meal. And it's pretty much going to be like breakfast, for example. It's always like pancakes. 99% of the time it's pancakes, and it's terrible because it's a big thing with hemorrhoids here. It stop you up, a bunch of bread. And during lockdowns, you have no way to. You have to work out in your cell. You have to bathe yourself in your cell, and because you have no other way. You know, because they're only doing lockdowns. They give showers maybe 3 times a week at best, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at best. But like right now, they're short-staffed. They've been short-staffed, and it's bad. It's hard on us, and it's hard on the officers. You know, so many call-ins, people not calling in, but they're getting paid regardless, and we're going through what we're going through, and we don't have a choice. So we have to find a way in our mind to stay motivated, stay positive, read books, you know, inspire yourself.
So they can bring your meal at 3 a.m. in the morning?
Most mornings at between 3 and 4.
And you have to eat it now?
Yeah, and give it a tray back, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. If you don't get up, you don't eat.
And do you see the daylight?
There's like a little slit in the window about this at the very top. So you had to climb on books and something to look out, but you can see some light out there, you know, at the end of the road. Yeah, it's a little light.
How big is your cell?
I think about 8 by 8.5 or 8 by 9. And but of course, that's like assuming nothing's where there's a toilet block in this area. There's a little shelf here. So it's not like you have a walking space. You take from your bunk, you take 2 steps and you're at your door. You take 1 step, you're at your wall. 1 step, you're at your wall. So my arm span pretty much is the width, you know, and my arm span this way is the length. Well, arm space and a half is the length. So no more than 2 steps in either direction.
When you arrived here, was it very different from the prisons or jail you were before?
Oh, yes, the county jail, I had to learn the language too. I never been to jail or prison before either. So I had to learn the language and the difference between a jail and a prison. I thought they were all the same thing, but it's totally different. County jail is totally different. But I was locked down the same way when I was only because of my charge. Well, so I thought. It's also my race, because the guys in a different race, they were allowed to go to general population. I was only forced to be in solitary confinement, which is like a closet. It's even smaller than a cell here. And so and there's a little window where they open up, the officer will open up to check in on you, and they close it back. And then they just walk off. Some officers don't even look in on you, they just come by and slam the window and just keep walking. It's frustrating. But it's pretty much, it's not too far from, you know, each other, food-wise as well. So we have to rely on commissary. Because if you don't have commissary, you're gonna shrink. I went in and weighing 230 pounds, and I've made all the way down to 165 pounds. So like 80 pounds.
How long were you on solitary confinement?
I'm still on solitary confinement right now. So 9.5 years now. Yep, 9.5 years. From day one all the way till now. And only difference is I get to come out now for 4 hours sometime. You know, we just had recreation today, but aside from that, we haven't had we had showers Monday. Before that, we haven't had showers in 4 or 5 days. You know, and they feed us out of a brown paper bag, you know, a peanut butter jelly sandwich and maybe a fish sandwich or something, and that's it for lunch. And then you have to survive off that for the next 6 hours or whatever. It's crazy, but what can you do? Lose weight, pray about it. Yeah.
Your mother passed away in 2022. Your stepdad passed away a few months ago. He was 72. Your grandmother passed away also in April 2025. Were you still in touch with these people?
My stepdad, yes, he would write me letters, and he would write me letters. My grandmother, no, I would just check in on her. You know, of age, she really couldn't communicate. You know, like write letters or anything like that. But she did used to offer us, like, hey, can I send you some food? I said, no, grandma, they won't let you send food over here. And my mother, I talked to her, and she ultimately passed from cervical cancer. But I would talk to her on the phone, but she wasn't able to come here and visit because still, like, financially, she wasn't allowed to. And my stepdad hadn't visited, but like I said, he's writing me letters and keep in touch, and I would talk to him on the phone. So everyone was good. And actually, I was trying to get a hold of my stepdad for months, and then I later learned that 4 months previous, he had passed away, and I didn't know it.
Are you still in touch with other people from your family,
yes,
or no?
Yes. And I'm adding more of my family members on my visitation list, which they're on death row. We only allowed to have 10 people on our visit list, as opposed to population. They allow 20. They can call 20 people. Well, they call 30 people, and then they can visit with 10. And so I'm making changes on mine so I can visit. I have to take some people off to add other people because it's hard with 10 people, it's hard to juggle that.
Do you see your brother and your sisters sometimes?
No, they busy life. They live far away in the Dallas area, and my sister, she actually in Beaumont, and I'm actually having my youngest older sister. I just communicated with her, and she's gonna come visit me. I'm putting her on my list this week, and her and my 2 nephews are gonna come visit me too. So once I get it finalized here, so I have more family visits. But these are going to be the first. June is the first family visit I had in 9 years.
How has your relationship with your siblings been in the past years?
In past years, well, it haven't really been too much communication, like for things to go wrong. So it's just kind of been touch and go, like, you know, hey, how you doing? Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, just hello during holidays. So it's been okay.
Have they been mad at you at some point?
No. We get along. We've been through so much, you know, in our life. So if we have frustration moments, like we can have a bad conversation, and I hang up or they hang up. I can call right back. It's like I say, hey, I love you. It's like I love you too, but you get on my nerves. And so we get over things. We don't hold grudges.
And how do you see the future? Are you optimistic?
Always. I'm going home tomorrow. If not, the day after that. I stay motivated, stay optimistic, because not only do I need it, but my friends need it, that I communicate with, and I keep them encouraged as well. I'm a part of their family. They say I always have a seat at their table, and I keep my surroundings motivated, because if I'm in a negative, if I'm a pessimistic, then my surroundings are going to feed off of that. So it's imperative that I stay positive, not just for me, but for others.
Is there something you would like to add to end this interview?
We don't have jobs, so of course we need assistance, you know, with our voice, and a lot of things require money. That's what's terrible. This requires money. That's one thing we don't have here. So we had to rely on friends and people that donate, and just try to get your voice out. The page that you referenced earlier, that's something new, you know, in a way to allow my voice to be heard, for me to be seen. And I hope people actually pay attention to that and just donate your time or whatever you can, and just let me know you hear me, and I will encourage you. And I want to be a part of your families. I want to be a part of your friendship, you know. And yeah, because I just love people. I just love to joke around. I like to have people, make people laugh. I'm a joker. I like to joke. I like to have fun. I don't care where I'm at in this place, my location don't define me. You know, I've just been September 23rd, 2025, a few months ago, I was just diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis. And so that's another battle I'm facing. So, but again, I'm not going to become my diagnosis, you know. And so I fight everything, you know, with everything I have. You know, I feel good, you know. I'm blessed. I was told, you know, I have nearly 30 brain lesions, and I'm not even supposed to be walking or talking. My attorney at trial told me I'm supposed to be drooling. They didn't understand what was going on. And then recently they diagnosed me with MS. And I said, well, I guess blessings of God, you know, God is good. That I'm not drooling, I'm still functioning. So I don't make sense to 7 doctors he said he spoke to. And so, but I'm still going strong.
How did you get those lesions?
In a number of ways. It can be from boxing growing up, it can be from trauma, it can be from it's a slew of things that cause it. It's just a matter of catching it, to spot it, you know, as soon as you can. So now I receive injections. I can't stand medications or anything. And so aside from me taking B12 and vitamin D tablets, which I've been taking for a year or so now I have to get injections, Copaxone injections 3 times a week. I can't stand any of that, but that's what the neurologist told me I have to do. And I asked him for how long. He said, well, until you're 60. I said, that's forever. But yeah, because the ultimate in the end is going to be probably total paralysis, you know, just crippled or whatever. But I'm not going to be a vegetable burden on anybody. So I told him, no, I'd rather do a DNR, do not resuscitate. I'd rather do that and just not be a burden and pull the plug. You know, I have a heck of a life. I've traveled the world. You know, I did things that people didn't expect me to do coming out of Beaumont. I had a heck of a life. I have 2 wonderful baby girls. You know, I've had a beautiful life. I have a lot of photos that I, you know, reminisce and look back at. And so I'm content with life, you know. And I'm not mad because I'm here. It's just the fight continues. It's just in a different way. MS, it's another fight. I'm not mad. It's just another thing you just adapt. That's what I learned growing up with my mom. You know, we adapt. We just keep moving. You know, we remember things, but we don't dwell on them because they eat you alive. So I just keep fighting no matter what and loving everybody.
Are you looking for people to write to, pen pals?
Oh, always. Just, my goal is to replace all the holes that previous friends left with new friends. You know, and I just like to learn people, make people happy, because I can make anybody laugh. You know, I make people laugh without permission. And so to write people, have people, and just people just hear my voice, you know, echo my voice, because it's hard to get it through all this steel and concrete. It's hard to get it out. Any assistance. Of course, financial is going to be one of them, because we can't pay for these things here. So help with hygiene, you know, shoes, you know, being able to wash my laundry, because this place, you get a jumper, boxers, and some Crocs, some shoes. That's it. You don't get anything. You don't get T-shirts. You don't get anything else. And we're stuck. And so all these other things you see us wearing, shirts or whatever, someone donated something to us. And that's how we have to survive. So we have to ask whether we say it in the right way or a way that's pleasing to the person that's donating is one thing. Some people are not able to articulate in a way you would understand and not sound like they're begging. Because me, for example, I have too much pride. I can't ask for anything. So when people offer, I'm like, well, this is the situation. Me, I'm brutally honest. I'm going to tell you the truth no matter what. And that's what makes all my friends love me and gravitate toward me, because I'm always honest. And when they tell me I always have a seat at the table and they trust me completely, that makes me light up inside, you know, so.
What do you miss the most from the outside world?
What I miss most, freedom, opportunity, freedom of choice, being able to schedule, just go out and go to the park and go fishing with my girls, just being around family, being able to check on my family and call them and see how they're doing. And I just show up out of the blue, just pop up, and they're like, "Hey, Ronnie," you know, they you know, just love on them, you know, is the term, love on them, and just see how they're doing and check on my family and friends and just socialize. I've never been into big crowds, just small groups, but just hang out and, you know, travel. And I was planning to take my mom on a cruise, but I already started a family, so it was harder to jump on a cruise at that point. But she was like, I got my passport, let's go. I'm like, Mama, it's too late. But yeah, so I had just Going out, Chinese food. Love Chinese food. And I just love traveling. You know, I love traveling. You know, what's crazy is I love to travel in cars. I mean, I love to travel more in a truck than a car. My 18-wheeler than a car. That's what's weird. I don't like driving in cars anymore. But I love traveling. I love flying. You know, grabbing some flyer miles. But yeah, so I miss a lot. I miss a lot. Freedom of options. I miss people. I miss being able to hug and just walk by random people and, you know, smell of different foods. And I love the smell of fresh cut grass. I love the smell of fresh cut grass, especially the grass I cut. You know, I can smell the fruit of my labor, you know. But yeah, I love making my aunts smile. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tyrone, for your trust. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for being willing to echo my voice, let people know what's going on, and share my story. And yeah, because hopefully my daughters, my Natalie, will one day find this podcast and they come find me. Thank you.
You want to write to Tyrone? Let me explain to you how to contact any Texas inmate on death row. It's pretty simple. Type Sclerosis Technologies into your search engine, then click on Sign In, Sign Up and create an account. You're going to enter your information, pretty simple. Once you're on your account, open e-messaging and go to contacts, then click add contact. You just need a first and last name in the state. Select Texas Department of Criminal Justice in agency. Men on death row are at the Appellate unit. For women, choose Mountain View unit, even though the name has changed. Then add the contact. Next, still on e-messaging, you'll need to purchase stamps. You have to select a contact, but you can use the stamps for anyone. Once you've bought your stamps, open e-messaging again and click on Compose. Select your contact and you'll find the one you just added. If you're a new subscriber and need a recommendation to watch another video on my channel, check out the 5-part interview I did with Pamela Perillo, who was on death row for years. I don't want to say too much, but her story is incredible.
My name is Pam Perillo, and I have seen from the inside what death row is like, and I'm here to share my story with you.
Please continue to share, comment, rate. It helps other people find the show. Thank you.